Pranam Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Ramanujacharya Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindax Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Shama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Susmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone who would like to introduce on the call today?
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjari Leela Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Leela Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna. Okay. I welcome all of you once again. Thank you everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are really fortunate to have His Grace Balaramshakti Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam verse 7.10.9 onwards. Before I hand over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to hand over the call to Susmita Mataji for the brief introduction on Balaramshakti Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is Prabhuji ready?
Yes, Mataji, I am ready.
Then we can skip introduction, Mataji. Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept all of our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your valuable time and association in this Bhakti Sangha conference call every often. Thank you. We are really fortunate to have you, Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, thank you all very much for joining today's session. And I also wish to thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share some understanding from today's verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we will be discussing from the 7th canto, 10th chapter, 9th verse This is a conversation between Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. Narasimhadev had requested Prahlad Maharaj to ask for a benediction, and Prahlad Maharaj actually outright denies, and he says, I don't wish to be vanik, businessman doing business with you and all that. We discussed this in detail last, at least an overview we discussed, and last many days you would have been discussing the same thing. And I think about a week back I gave another session where we did discuss on this theme. So anyways, so here Prahlad Maharaj is speaking this verse. He says, Vimunchati yada kaman manavo manasi stitan tarhi eva pundarikaksha bhagavattvaya kalpate. Prahlad Maharaj tells to Nrsimhadev, O my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. Okay, so which means basically he should be willing to give up all kinds of opulences of this material world. Srila Prabhupada in his purport writes, atheistic men sometimes criticize a devotee by saying, if you do not want to take any benediction from the Lord, and if the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, why do you ask for the benediction of being engaged as the Lord's servant? If the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, why do you ask for the benediction of being engaged as the Lord's servant? Sridhar Swami comments, Bhagavattvaya Bhagavat Saman Aishwaryaya. Bhagavatva, becoming as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not mean becoming one with him or equal to him, although in the spiritual world the servant is equally as opulent as the master. The servant of the Lord is engaged in the service of the Lord as a servant, friend, father, mother, or conjugal lover, all of whom are equally as opulent as the Lord. This is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. The master and servant are different, yet equal in opulence. This is the meaning of simultaneous difference from the Supreme Lord and oneness with him. So last time we did discuss, when I came, we did discuss on the same theme of how devotees do not desire material benedictions, and whether material opulence is favorable for bhakti or not. How do we see, and all these things we did discuss on this. So this time I decided I will take a different topic from the purport. Srila Prabhupada does talk about the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So today I decided it's going to be a little technical discussion. I apologize for that. But because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his philosophy is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, and Srila Prabhupada oftentimes speaks about it. So we will try to understand today this Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva from taking a small section from the Jiva Dharma. Okay, we will discuss that. So first we will try to understand the various philosophical schools of thought. Of course, we are not going to go into detail of this, but just a brief touch on this. Okay. So I apologize if today's discussion becomes a little technical. It is a technical subject matter, but sometime we do have to touch it. So I thought today we will at least briefly discuss on this theme. Okay. So this Jiva Dharma is is written in the form of a conversation. It's a novel, spiritual novel, where the most of the characters of this novel are fictitious, but through these fictitious characters, through the conversations that happen between these fictitious characters, mostly one of them takes the role of a spiritual master and the other takes the role of a disciple. Through these conversations, various philosophical understandings are brought forth. Practically, the whole teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been presented in this book, Jiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This book is considered to be the magnum opus presentation of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So what we are going to discuss today is from the 18th chapter of the Jiva Dharma, where the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva is described. So Vrajanath is the disciple and Srila Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj is the guru. So this is a conversation between them. And this conversation is happening at Sriva Sangan. Okay. So Sriva Sangan is the place where Srila Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj's Bhajan Kutir is present. So every day Vrajanath comes there to have some spiritual discussions. So they are currently discussing on the topic of Dashamula Tattva, the 10 essential teachings from the Vedas, which has been very beautifully presented by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his teachings to Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami and others. So the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been very beautifully summarized by these Dashamula Tattva. And what we are discussing now is the 8th Tattva. Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva is the 8th Tattva. Okay. So Vrajanath asks, under what name are Sri Chaitanya's teachings known? So Vrajanath says, there are already famous teachings. For example, there is Advaita, Monism, Dvaita, Dualism, Shuddha Dvaita, purified monism, Vishishtadvaita, specific monism, and Dvaita, Advaita, monism and dualism combined, which are the philosophies propagated by the previous acharyas. Did Sri Gauranga endorse any of these philosophies, or did he teach something entirely new? Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu endorse any of these philosophies, or did he teach something completely new? What did he teach? Okay, you have mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the Brahma Sampradaya, in the disciplic succession of Lord Brahma. Does this mean that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an Acharya in the line of Sri Madwacharya's Dvaita philosophy, or are his teachings are of a different line? So if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in the line of Madwacharya, then did he accept the exact same philosophy of Madwacharya, or did he present a different philosophy? This is the question which was asked by Vrajanath, and Srila Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj answers this question. So to answer this, he quotes the 8th verse of the Dashamula Shiksha. Okay. So this 8th verse talks about Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. It says, Harehe Shaktehe Sarvam Chidachid Akilam Syat Parinatir Vivartam no Satyam Shruti Mata Viruddham Kalimalam Harer Bheda Bedau Shruti Vihita Tattvam Suvimalam Tataha Premnaha Siddhir Bhavati Nitya Vishaya. So he says, Sarvam Chid Achid Akilam Harehe Shaktehe Parinatihi Syat. Chid Achid Akilam. Chid, spiritual world. Achid, material world. Sarvam, in its entirety. Parinatihi Syat. Parinatihi means Parinama, transformation. They are all transformations of Harehe Shaktehe. They are all transformations of the energies of Sri Krishna. Okay. Okay. So this is called as Shakti Paranavawa. So this is called as Shakti Paranavawa, where the manifestation of the material and spiritual worlds is a transformation of Krishna's energies. Vivartam na satyam. The Vivartavad, which is the impersonal theory of the illusory transformation of Brahman, is false. Okay. Why suddenly he is talking about Vivartavad when he is talking about, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva? Because these two are exactly opposed tattvas. Okay. Na satyam. Kali malam. In fact, it is a noxious pollution of Kali Yuga. So this impersonal theory of Vivartavad. Shruti mata viruddham. And it is contradictory to the conclusions of the Vedas. This is not correct. Harer Beda Bedau Suvimalam Shruti Vihita Tattvam. So he says, Harer Beda Bedau, the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference, is Suvimalam Shruti Vihita Tattvam, is the true pure essence of Vedic truth. Okay. So this is true pure essence of Vedic truth is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Tataha, the practice of this philosophy, Siddhir Bhavati, it elevates a person to the state of perfection. What is that state of perfection? Premnaha, of developing divine transcendental love. Prema for whom? Nitya Vishaya, for the eternal absolute truth, Sri Krishna. So, why we should understand this Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva? Because the practice of this philosophy elevates a person to the stage of prema. Okay. See, most of it we know. Srila Prabhupada presents this philosophy very beautifully throughout. Maybe some technical nitty-gritties we may not necessarily know. So today we will try to just touch on that little bit, but most of it is something that you already know. We have always heard this from Srila Prabhupada's writings, and through his words we have already heard them. Okay. So he says, so basically this says that the material and the spiritual worlds are transformations of Krishna's energies. The impersonal theory of illusion, the Vivartavad, is not false. It's not correct. It is false. It is a noxious pollution of Kali Yuga, and it is contradictory to the conclusions of the Vedas. But the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva is pure essence of the Vedic truth. If someone practices that philosophy, he gets elevated to the stage of prema. Okay. So we have to understand what it is and practice it so that we can achieve our prayojan of prema, Krishna prema. Okay. So that is what here this Dashamula Shiksha verse talks about. So the teachings of the Upanishads, are known as Vedanta. Srila Vyasadeva, desiring to properly articulate these meanings of the Upanishads, summarized them in Brahma Sutra. Okay. The teachings of the Upanishads have been summarized in Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. Okay. And all the acharyas of the different philosophical schools, they have commented on the Vedanta Sutra to authenticate their individual views. Okay, because everyone accepts that Vedanta Sutra is the essential conclusions of the teachings of the Vedas. So by commenting on the Vedanta Sutras, one can present one's own philosophy properly. So first, Sri Shankaracharya has attempted to establish Vivartavad, the theory of illusory transformation of Brahman from these sutras. So Shankaracharya presented Vivartavad. Okay, we will understand these terminologies little bit more in detail, he taught that if Parinamavad, the transformation of Brahman, were applied to Brahman as an explanation of creation, then Brahman would lose its own supreme unchangeable identity. So basically, what are these philosophies? These philosophies explain what is the connection between the Supreme Lord and that which we observe in this material world. So what is observed in this material world? The material universe, along with various elements such as earth, water, fire, air, ether, and various manifestations of them, and the Jiva. So there is Jiva and the material world. So what is the connection between the Jiva, the material world, with respect to the Supreme Lord? Okay, with respect to the absolute truth. This is what the various philosophies explain. Okay. So what does Shankaracharya say? Shankaracharya says that the absolute truth is nirvikara. Okay. It does not undergo any transformation. So because he does not undergo any transformation, this material world and the Jiva cannot be a transformation of the absolute truth. Okay. So in essence, I will summarize what Shankaracharya says is that because the scriptures say that the absolute truth is nirvikar, without transformation. Okay. Without transformation. This is what the scriptures say. And also the scriptures say ekam brahma dvitiya nasti. Only Brahman exists, nothing else exists. Okay. And that Brahman is nirvikara. He does not transform. So what is this material world then? What are the jivas then? They say, because the absolute truth only exists and he does not undergo any transformation, therefore, this material world and jiva must be an illusion. It does not exist. Because if you say that it does exist, then for that, the Brahman only has to transform into the jiva and the material world. Okay. Just like you have clay. Okay. When you have clay, when you make a pot out of clay, clay transforms into pot. And at least a part of that clay is lost. It is transformed into a pot. Okay. So if the material world is a transformation of the absolute truth, then the absolute truth must transform into the material world. The absolute truth must transform into the jiva. But the Shastras say that the Supreme Lord is nirvikara without any transformation. So how do you reconcile? So Shankaracharya reconciles it by telling, therefore, the jiva that you are seeing does not exist. It is an illusion. And the material world that you are seeing does not exist. It is an illusion. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is nirvikara. He is without transformation. So how can he undergo real transformation into this material world and jiva? Therefore, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Therefore, Brahman is real. This Jagat has to be false. Okay. This is what he says. So this is Vivartavad, the theory of illusory transformation of Brahman. Brahman really does not transform. So what you see is an illusory transformation. There is no real transformation. So the jiva does not exist. The material world does not exist. It is all an illusion only. Okay. Sri Shankaracharya therefore proposed the Vivartavad. What is this Vivartavad? The theory of illusory transformation of Brahman was a superior philosophical conclusion. Okay. So this theory of Vivartavad is also known as Mayavad. Okay. This is also called as Mayavad because it is an illusion. What you see, whatever you see is Maya, illusion. This is Mayavad. So attempting to establish his philosophical proposal, Sri Shankaracharya took verses from the Vedas out of context and at his convenience to support his views. So he took the verses from the Vedas out of context. So the Vedas have two types of, three types of Shrutis. The Bheda Shrutis, the Abheda Shrutis, and the Ghataka Shrutis. Okay. So the Bheda Shrutis are that which talk about the difference between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. Okay. Or the Supreme Lord and his energies. The Abheda Shrutis talk about the non-difference between the absolute truth and his energies. And the Ghataka Shrutis are those Shrutis which reconcile this apparent contradiction. Okay, like that. So, through his doctrine, Sri Shankaracharya attempted to defeat the theory of Parinamavad, the transformation of Brahman, which evidently existed prior to his appearance. So prior to Shankaracharya, probably the theory that existed was that Brahman only transforms into this material world and the Jivas are transformation of Brahman. So he argued that how could that be? Because the Brahman is nirvikara, he is transformationless. So therefore, what you see is, so he cannot transform. Then the question is, if he cannot transform, then how do you explain this material world and the Jiva? He said, oh, that must be an illusion. It does not exist. It is just an illusion. That's all. That was his explanation. Okay. So Vivartavad is only one of the many theories proposed to define reality. And dissatisfied with this new ideology of Mayavad, Sri Madwacharya formulated Dvaitavad, the philosophy of duality. So just like what Shankaracharya did, he only took the Abheda Shrutis, those verses which describe the non-difference, and he created Advaitavad. Okay. And Madwacharya said, if you can do it, I can do it better. So in an almost tit for tat fashion, what Madwacharya did, he took only the Bheda Shrutis and created the Dvaitavad. Dual, the philosophy of duality. Okay, Dvaitavad. Okay. So that's what he did. He also scrutinized the Vedas, collecting verses in support of Dvaitavad. So in one sense, actually both Mayavad, Advaita and Dvaita were like kind of not incomplete philosophies actually. After him came Sri Ramanujacharya. Actually, chronologically, if you see, Ramanujacharya came before Madwacharya and he had formulated. But actually, if you see in terms of the philosophical development, okay, so you have, you have thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, right? Okay. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So the thesis was presented by Shankaracharya, the antithesis was presented by Madwacharya and it was synthesized by Ramanujacharya. So even though, so what did Ramanujacharya said? Ramanujacharya said, see, you cannot reject the Veda Shrutis, you cannot reject the Abheda Shrutis. Both Shrutis have to be taken and all verses of Vedanta Sutras have to be given equal importance. And when you are explaining your philosophy, you should take the whole Vedic gamut or at least the Upanishadic gamut into consideration and present. You cannot reject, accept some and reject some. Okay. So this was like the synthesis. After him did not come Ramanujacharya, but from a philosophical development perspective, Ramanujacharya's presentation was more a synthesis in comparison to the thesis and antithesis nature of Shankaracharya and Madwacharya's presentation. So after him came Sri Ramanujacharya, who also by using the Vedas and Vedanta Sutra presented the philosophy of Vishishtadvaitavad, qualified non-dualism. We are not going to discuss these other theories now. We are not going to do that. What is Vishishtadvaita, what is Shuddhadvaita and all that. Okay. We are just going to try to understand what is, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, and little bit we will also try to understand, Mayavad. Okay. So we will take Achintya Bheda Abheda as the representative of the Vaishnava viewpoint, whatever was presented by Ramanujacharya, then subsequently Nembarkacharya, Vishnu Swami and all of them. So we will take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Achintya Bheda Abheda as one presentation and we will try to contrast it with Mayavad. That's all. Okay. Next in line was Nimbarkacharya, who presented Dvaita Dvaitavad, and then finally Vishnu Swami presented Shuddha Dvaitavad. Okay. And then he says, the Mayavad doctrine preached by Sri Shankaracharya is contrary to the basic tenets of Bhakti. This is contrary. In contrast, the four Vaishnavacharyas, what they presented, it is all their philosophies is anchored in the truth of devotional surrender to Bhagavan. Any of these philosophies you take, it inspires devotional surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Later, Sri Chaitanya holding the complete teachings of the Vedas in the highest esteem. Complete teachings of the Vedas. This is the first thing in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conversation with Prakashananda Saraswati. He said that the first hermeneutical principle, hermeneutics means how do you understand the Vedic scriptures? How do you understand the scriptures? Okay. So in that he says, the first thing is that the Vedas are Ishvara Vachana. Okay. Ishvara Vachana means they are directly words of the Supreme Lord, so you cannot accept some and reject some. No, that is not allowed. You have to accept everything completely. Okay. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later synthesized the essence of the entire Vedas in his instructions and he presented it as Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. Okay. So, according to the one of the questions that was asked was, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in the disciplic succession of Madwacharya, does he accept the same philosophy as Madwacharya presented? He says, Sri Chaitanya is in the disciplic line of Sri Madwacharya, but only the condensed essence of the views of Sri Madwacharya has been collected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Which means in all its detail, Achintya Bheda Abheda is not exactly the Dvaitavad of Madwacharya, but some of the essence, the preeminence of the physical form of the Lord of the absolute truth is the highest, and devotion is the essence All of that has been accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but there are some differences also. Okay. So now, because we have used two terminologies, Parinamavad and Vivartavad. Generally, the word Parinamavad is ascribed to the Vaishnava standpoint, and the word Vivartavad is attributed to the Mayavadi standpoint. This is from a common perspective, but even though the Shastras do talk about Parinama and Vivarta, okay, it is there in the Vedas. Okay, so we will try to understand this Parinamavad, the theory of transformation. So we will try to understand the right and the wrong understanding of Parinamavad. So what is the right understanding and what is the wrong understanding of Parinamavad, we will try to understand. Okay. So Vrajanath asked this question, what is the meaning of Parinamavad? Okay. So understanding this Parinamavad is very essential in our understanding of the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. That's why we are understanding. Because you might be wondering, why, if we want to, if the session is going to be about Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, why we are discussing this Parinamavad and Vivartavad? Why not just discuss Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva? So the proper understanding of the Parinamavad is actually the same as the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Okay. So we will try to understand this. So he says Parinamavad may be divided into two concepts. One is Brahma Parinamavad and Tat Shakti Parinamavad. Okay. So this is Brahma Parinamavad and Tat Shakti Parinamavad. Parinama means transformation. Vad means theory. Parinamavad means the theory of transformation. Brahma Parinamavad means the theory of transformation of Brahman. Tat Shakti Parinamavad means the theory of the transformation of Brahman's energy. Okay, let us try to understand this. So according to the adherents of the Brahma Parinamavad, the inconceivable impersonal aspect transforms itself, on the other hand, into the living entities, and on the other into the material universe. So what does Brahma Parinamavad says? Brahma Parinamavad says Brahman itself transforms into Jiva and the material world. Because all these theories explain, how would you explain what, Brahman is there, we accept. What is this material world? What are the Jivas? The Brahma Parinamavad people say, oh, the Jiva and the material world is a transformation of Brahman. That's what they say. Okay. So they cite the Chandogya Upanishad verse which says, Ekameva Advitiyam. That Brahman is one and unsurpassable. So from this, the Ekam Eva Advitiyam, Brahman is one only, from which they conclude that Brahman is the only known entity. Therefore, this theory is called as Advaitavad, monistic impersonalism. Okay. So in this context, Vivarta, Parinama are synonyms indicating the illusory or otherwise transformation of the impersonal Brahman. Okay. Anyways, so Brahma Parinamavad, Vivartavad and Mayavad are the same. Anyways, it's okay. So now they say that Brahman only transforms, but because Brahman does not transform, okay, because Brahman is said to be Nirvikara, we saw this. Therefore, this material world is just an illusory transformation of Brahman. The material world does not exist. Why? Because the Shastras say Brahman cannot transform. Therefore, the material world is an illusion. The Jiva is an illusion. Everything is illusion. Everything is Maya, Maya, Maya. Therefore, Mayavad. Okay. That is the point. So now the second group, is the Vaishnavas. So this is the stance of the Vaishnavas. Okay. So what do the Vaishnavas say? The second group, Tat Shakti Parinamavad, states that that Brahman does not accept transformation, but that the Achintya Shakti of Brahman is transformed partly into the Jiva Shakti, which manifests the Jivas, and partly into the Maya Shakti, which manifests the material universe. So this is the proposal of the Tat Shakti Paranavawa. Tat Shakti Paranavawa means Brahman does not transform, so therefore the Nirvikara nature of Brahman is never challenged. But Brahman has energy, and one of that energies is the Achintya Shakti. That Achintya Shakti means inconceivable energy of Brahman can transform into this material world and the Jivas without the Brahman itself undergoing any transformation. So Brahman does not undergo, but Brahman's Achintya Shakti can undergo transformation. This is what the Vaishnavas say. So if this view is acknowledged, then Brahman himself does not become transformed. So the Nirvikara nature of Brahman, which the Shastras talk about, that is not challenged. Okay, that is not challenged. So thus Sadananda writes in his commentary, Sa tattvato anyata buddhir vikara iti udirataha. Okay. So what is this vikar? So this talks about the definition of vikara. Okay. If the source is the absolute, then anything generated out of the absolute is also an entity partaking of the absolute nature. But the intelligence identifies that the generated entity as distinct from its origin. This is known as vikara, transformation. Okay. So the example that is given is yogurt and milk. So milk, okay, milk leads to yogurt. Okay, or clay leads to pot. Okay, so clay only becomes pot, but the intelligence identifies the pot to be different from clay. It's not completely same. Similarly, milk is the source of yogurt. Milk only transforms into yogurt, but the intelligence identifies the yogurt to be different, not the exact same as milk. Okay. So what is vikara? It is a separate, distinct identity manifesting from the absolute, which is the source. So, okay. So vikara means you have a source which transforms, and the transformed object looks different. It is of a different quality, not exactly the same. Okay. So he gives the example. Yogurt produced from milk retains some similarity with the milk. However, the intelligence designates yogurt with a separate identity from milk. This is called as vikara. That's why Brahma Samhita says, Kshiram yata dadi vikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahitata pritagasti hetoho. Therefore, the view of Brahma Parinamavad, that is, this material universe and jivas are transformations of Brahman, and yet still non-different from Brahman, without any separate identities from Brahman, is very distorted and lacking in intelligence. So what do the Mayavadis say? The Mayavadis say, material world and jivas are transformed from Brahman, but their quality is exactly same as Brahman, which means there is no vikara. That is what they say. Okay. So which means, but we may say that, oh, but I can't see the absolute truth. I can see the Brahman. I can see the Jiva. I can see the material world. I can feel it. He says, that is all illusion. When the illusion is gone, you will realize only Brahman exists, and what you see as Jiva is also exactly this Brahman. What you see as the material world is also exactly this Brahman. Now, under the state of an illusion, you think it is separate, but in reality, it is one. That is what they say. Okay. But this is wrong. Furthermore, if according to the adherents to this school of thought, the impersonal Brahman is the one singular entity without qualities and distinction, whereby is the possibility of transformation of such a qualityless entity illusory otherwise. So now, we do sometimes have a dream of something unreal. Okay. Like Prabhupada oftentimes gives the example of, we have seen gold, we have seen a mountain, we dream of a golden mountain. Like that Srila Prabhupada says. Okay. But, even though golden mountains do not exist, but at least gold exists, at least a mountain exists. So golden mountain, you may dream. So that dream is an illusion. But what you see in an illusion must have some connection with what you have actually seen. Now, according to the Mayavadis, if the absolute truth has absolutely no qualities, no form, nothing, then how come under illusion all these qualities manifest? Okay. So therefore, this makes no sense. Okay. So that's why their understanding is wrong. Further, if it is accepted that such qualityless Brahman is transformable, then Brahman is robbed of the absolute and detached status. Hence, this Brahma Parinamavad is very inaccurate. Okay, this is wrong. However, the Shakti Paranavawa, so this Shakti Paranavawa, in its most complete form, is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Okay. However, the Shakti Paranavawa theory does not suffer from these logical deficiencies. Here, Brahman is detached, independent, and immutable. Immutable means nirvikara. That is not challenged. Brahman is independent, Brahman is detached, Brahman is immutable. However, in this understanding, the unlimitedly powerful Achintya Shakti of Brahman, capable of making the impossible possible, transforms partly into the Jiva Shakti and partly into the illusory Maya Shakti. So, Brahman does not transform. Okay. Brahman does not transform, but there is Brahman's Achintya Shakti transforms. His unlimitedly powerful, inconceivable energy can transform into Jiva and into the material world without transforming the Brahman. Okay. But someone may say, how is this possible? Look at the example of the milk and the curd. Or look at the example of the clay and the pot. When clay transforms into pot, there is an actual transformation. Clay no longer exists, or at least the amount of clay reduces and, to the extent that pot is made out of it. Or milk is transformed into yogurt. Milk no longer exists. It has already transformed. Okay. So if you say that the absolute truth, so how can the matter transform, one thing transform into other, but still remain immutable, untransformable? So he says, it is not possible for matter, but for the absolute truth, which is pure spiritual substance, and especially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for him, there is Achintya Shakti which can transform without the absolute truth itself undergoing any transformation. So, when Brahman desired the Jivas to be manifest, immediately his transcendental Jiva Shakti went into action and produced innumerable Jivas. Eko Bahusyamaha. The one Lord desired to become many. So this is Karanodaka Sai Vishnu during the time of creation. He desired, it is the time for creation. Let the Jivas manifest. So from his bodily pores manifested the Jivas. Okay. And similarly, when Brahman wanted the material world to come into existence, immediately his Maya Shakti went into action, constructing the material cosmos. So, his Achintya Shakti has two aspects. One is the Jiva Shakti and the Maya Shakti. Okay. The Jiva Shakti manifests the individual souls. The Maya Shakti manifests the universes. Okay. However, in all these actions, Brahman in himself eternally remains unaffected without transformation. This is the presentation of the Vaishnavas. Brahman does not transform, but Brahman's energies transform. Okay. This the Mayavadis don't accept, because the Mayavadis don't accept that the absolute truth has energies, qualities, form, anything. Okay. So they can come to such a conclusion only if they accept only the Abheda Shrutis and reject the Veda Shrutis. They do that. Wherever the Veda becomes very clear, they say, oh, here Vyasadeva is mistaken. Like that. Okay. So, but there are very clear verses which indicate the absolute truth possessing form, possessing qualities, possessing energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya Cha. Very clear, right? They will reject those statements or misinterpret them. So when Brahman desired the Jivas manifest. When Brahman desires the material world, the material world manifests through his Achintya Shakti, even though he himself does not undergo any transformation. But someone may say, well, when someone gets a desire, that itself causes transformation. Okay. For the sake of argument, one may say that for Brahman, to desire is in itself a transformation of Brahman. Okay. Therefore, how may such a transformation exist in immutable Brahman? The Shastras say Brahman is immutable. Brahman is absolutely, he does not undergo any transformation. Then how is it possible that, so won't desire transform Brahman? Because we do see in this material world, desires do transform the living entity. So how can you say that desire manifested in the Brahman, but still the Brahman is immutable? How is this possible? This question arises. The answer is, this mistaken argument is based upon the observation of the action of desire within the Jiva, which should not be applied to Brahman. Okay. So that which you apply to the Jiva cannot be exactly applied to Brahman. Yes, desire transforms the Jiva, but desire does not transform Brahman. This is reality. Okay. So he says that, just a second. So he says that the desire of the Jiva, okay. The desire of the Jiva brings the Jiva into contact with a further energy of Brahman, which in turn affects the infinitesimal Jiva and thus his desire. So when the Jiva desires, immediately he comes in contact with an energy, because the Jiva itself cannot fulfill. He comes in touch with an energy which is not intrinsic to the Jiva. Okay. The material energy belongs to the Supreme Lord. Okay. And the spiritual energy also belongs to the Supreme Lord. So when the Jiva gets either a material desire or a spiritual desire, to execute it, he has to come in touch with the material energy or the spiritual energy, both of which are not intrinsic to the Jiva, they are extrinsic to the Jiva. Therefore, the Jiva undergoes a transformation. Okay. Therefore, the desire of the Jiva is vikara, because which is brought about by the effect of the contact with the powerful energies of Brahman. But this is not the case with Brahman, whose incorruptible and supremely independent desire springs unrestrainedly from his intrinsic nature. Because when the Supreme Lord develops a desire, that desire, to fulfill that desire, the Lord is not dependent on any extrinsic energy. So therefore, all these energies are intrinsic to the Supreme Lord. So therefore, there is no transformation. Although his desire is non-different from his Shakti, it is simultaneously also distinct from his Shakti. Non-different, Bheda, and distinct, Abheda. Sorry, Abheda, non-different, and distinct is Bheda. So this simultaneous non-difference and difference of the Supreme Lord, which is Shakti, is known as Bheda Abheda Tattva. And this is very difficult for us to understand. The limited intelligence of the Jiva cannot discover unaided this subtle and esoteric truth, which can be realized only through hearing the testimony of the Vedas. So therefore, this remains Achintya. Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So this Shakti Paranavawa, when understood properly, is what is called as Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, where the energy is simultaneously non-different and different from its source, the Supreme Lord. Okay. So the conclusion is that the Achintya Shakti of Brahman, in obedience to his orders, becomes active and is transformed. So there is Brahman, and there is Brahman's Achintya Shakti. So, which actually transforms into Jivas and the material world. Without Brahman undergoing any transformation. Okay. So we saw the example of milk turning into yogurt, but this analogy is incomplete. Any material analogy is incomplete to fully describe a spiritual reality. This morning also okay, of course. This morning we were discussing it in our Bhagavatam session, another Bhagavatam session, that any material analogy cannot completely describe a spiritual reality. Okay. So matter and spirit are not completely opposites. If matter and spirit were completely opposites, then with our material mind, with our material senses, with our material experiences, we cannot conceive of spiritual reality at all. And because we cannot conceive of spiritual reality at all, it would be impossible for us to develop a desire to attain that spiritual reality. And if we don't develop a desire to attain that spiritual reality, we will not endeavor. And if we do not endeavor, we will not attain. Okay. So matter and spirit are different, but they are not complete opposites. Okay. So like this morning also we saw this example of milk. Okay. So milk, you have to explain to a person who has never seen milk about what is milk. And what you have is, you have a bottle of phenyl and you have a peda. Okay. So how would you explain him about milk through these two things? So phenyl has something in common with milk. What is it? The color and liquidity. And peda has something in common with milk. What is that? Fragrance and taste. Almost. Okay. So now You show to that person, look, milk looks like this, white in color and liquid. Okay. And you give him a piece of peda and tell, smell it. You know what? Milk smells like this. And put it in your mouth. It tastes almost like this, little less sweet. Okay. So now, with phenyl and a piece of peda, you have kind of given a rough idea to that person as to what is milk. Okay. So now phenyl is not milk, peda is not milk, but it has some connection with milk. So similarly, spiritual reality is like that milk. Phenyl, peda, etc., are various material objects. So matter has something in common with spirit. So you can use that material, that matter, to explain a particular aspect of spiritual reality. Okay. So here, milk transforming into yogurt, but you cannot say that, but no one matter can completely explain any spiritual reality. Okay. There will always be a, you can say somewhere the analogy will stop working. Okay. You cannot ask him to smell that phenyl and, oh, milk smells like this. No, because phenyl is not milk, nor is peda milk. Okay. So, so this analogy is not complete. A more evolved analogy, of course, material analogy would be the analogy of a touchstone. And even if you see touchstone, even though material, it is very inconceivable. Chintamani. What does this chintamani do? When you touch that chintamani to a piece of iron, it transforms that piece of iron into gold. But chintamani itself does not change. Okay, it does not change. It remains as it is. Okay. So, so this is an example, but chintamani itself is a very inconceivable thing. So similarly, the chintamani, through its energy, transforms metal into gold, even though chintamani itself does not transform. Similarly, the absolute truth itself does not transform, but the Achintya Shakti of the absolute truth transforms partly into Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti and manifests the Jivas and the material world. Okay, like that he explains. So, the Supreme Lord creates unlimited material cosmos, complete with 14 planetary systems and innumerable jivas within, simply by his desire, which activates his Achintya Shakti. So the Lord is there, who is Nirvikara, okay, and he gets a desire, and that desire activates the Achintya Shakti. And this Achintya Shakti transforms into jivas and the material world. Okay. Yet he himself remains vikara shunya, unaffected, untransformed, and complete, regardless of all these activities. So the example that is given is the Chintamani. Chintamani, through its energy, transformation of its energy, transforms metals into gold, but Chintamani itself does not undergo any transformation. Okay. So therefore, the term vikara shunya, what do the Mayavadis say? The Mayavadis say that the word vikara shunya applies only to the absolute truth, who is the impersonal Brahman. But our Acharya said, no, the Supreme Lord can have a form, he can have energies, and still he can be vikara shunya. Okay. because he is constitutionally different from the ordinary living entities of this world. Okay, like that. So that is the explanation. So therefore, the word Brahman directly refers to the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, Shri Bhagavan. To define the supreme Brahman only impersonal and thus deprive him of his Achintya Shakti is clearly contradictory. So this is where, so therefore the absolute truth is not only impersonal, even though the impersonal aspect is there, but he is also personal. And personal means he can have energies, and one of the energies that he has is actually Achintya Shakti. Okay. Actually, on account of his Achintya Shakti, the Supreme Lord is simultaneously and eternally both personal and impersonal. Okay. On account of his Achintya Shakti, okay, he can simultaneously be personal and impersonal. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto. Okay. Even though he can remain in Goloka and at the same time, so he can be all pervading. So this is not possible for matter. Okay. Matter has to be in the matter, you see matter in the form of ether. Ether is all pervading. But ether is not localized. Okay, ether is not localized. Okay. Now you can say a laptop has a specific form. Okay. It has a form, but it is not all pervading. Okay. So something can be either all pervading or localized. This is the problem with matter. But spirit is not like that. Spirit can simultaneously be all pervading and at the same time localized. Okay. Now there are many classic examples. One classic example that you see is Damodar Leela. Okay. Damodar Leela, still the mother Yashoda is unable to tie the waist, to get the rope across the waist of Krishna. Okay. So it is still 2 fingers too short. Okay. Always. So even though that waist is still the size of the fist of Mother Yashoda. Okay. It looks to have a particular form, but at the same time, it seems to be all pervading because you take longer and longer and longer and longer and longer ropes. The fist, the waist of Krishna seems to be pervading across all that rope while still seeming to have the size of a fist. Okay. And at other times, Krishna showed the whole universe within the mouth of Mother Yashoda, not in a miniature form, in the full form. Okay. In the full form. Oftentimes we may think that, Krishna must have shown a miniature form of the universe within his mouth. No, it was a full universe. But does it mean his mouth expanded to accommodate it? No, his mouth was still only that size, small size only. Okay. So how is this possible? This is not possible for matter. Matter can be either, localized or all pervading. But for Krishna, this is not impossible. This is possible. This is possible by the Achintya Shakti of the Supreme Lord. So on account of his Achintya Shakti, the Supreme Lord is simultaneously and eternally both personal and impersonal. Okay. If only his impersonal aspect is acknowledged, his supreme status and absolute completeness is diminished. Okay. And then there is an example. I will skip these examples because we are running out of time. Okay. Okay. There are some examples to explain how clearly from the Vedas, his personal aspect is also very clearly established, and the impersonal aspect is also clearly established. This is possible only through the through the Achintya Shakti of the Supreme Lord. It is not completely it is not possible to. Okay. So now what is this Vivartavad? Okay, Vivartavad. Vivartavad means the theory of illusion. Do the Shastras talk about any kind of Vivarta? Or is it a terminology created by Shankaracharya? No. The Shastras do talk about Vivarta. Okay. The Shastras do talk about Vivarta. So, or illusion. Okay. So Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj says, in the Vedas, there is a description of Vivarta, bewilderment. But what is that bewilderment? That is different. That is different from what Shankaracharya says. Shankaracharya says, this material world is an illusion. This jivas are an illusion, because Brahman does not undergo any transformation. Okay. But in order to summarize this, without getting into too much details, there is Vivarta. Okay. What is Vivarta? Sadananda describes Vivarta as to mistakenly perceive any object which is contrary to and different from the actual real object to be the real object is called Vivarta. To think something else as the real object is Vivarta. Okay. So what does Shankaracharya say? Shankaracharya says, Jiva is actually Brahman. Okay. But for Brahman to think that he is Jiva, that is illusion. That is Vivarta. Okay. And to think that the material world is real, that is an illusion. That's what they say. But what do the Vaishnavas understand? The Vaishnavas understand the Jiva due to his conditioned state, the real Jiva due to his conditioned state is living in a real body, but due to ignorance or illusion identifies with the real body. So that wrong identification is the Vivarta. Okay. So Vivarta means illusion. Okay. The Shastras do talk about it. So what is the kind of illusion that the Mayavadis say? The Mayavadis say that when Brahman thinks that he is the Jiva, that is the illusion. But the Vaishnavas say, no. That is not an illusion. Okay. When the real Jiva is identifying with the real body as the self, that identification is Vivarta. Okay. That is illusion. Okay. Like that. For example, a person may think, I am Raghunath Bhattacharya, the son of Sanatan Bhattacharya, who has many titles and possessions. Another may think, I am Sadhu Chandal, the son of Vijay Chandal. However, both are seriously mistaken. They are actually individual jivas, tiny particles of spirit, but because they identify with their temporary material bodies, they are deluded and deceived. Okay, like that. So, anyways, so this is so there is a correct understanding of Vivartavad, which is in line with our understanding of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. And there is a wrong understanding of Vivartavad. So oftentimes this Vivartavad is ascribed to Mayavad. Okay. But there is a real Vivarta, there is real illusion, which is where the Jiva is identifying with the body. That is a real illusion. Okay. Anyways, I think this is a complicated topic, and I probably, somewhat we have touched this topic. So this is actually Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, where there is Bheda and there is Abheda, and for ordinary people this is actually Achintya, difficult to reconcile. Anyways, we should have some time for Q&A, even though we have some more topics to cover, but I don't think we have the time to cover those topics. But I think we will pause here to see if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share, ask, and we will take it. Yes, Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, I mean, I just got through a little bit of the class, so from there I have already questions. So, first thing you spoke about the...
So, you joined late?
No. It's my brain could not...
Okay.
Yeah, and I joined almost from the beginning, Prabhu. So, it's... when you were talking about the Vedas, they are Vedas and Tattva, Abheda Tattva, and there's Ghataka, you said, right?
Bheda Shrutis, Abheda Shrutis, and Ghataka Shrutis.
What is Ghataka Shruti, Prabhu? I have a few more follow-ups on that. So, yeah, first.
Ghataka means there are some verses which seemingly bridge, because Veda and Abheda are not contradictory. Veda and Abheda are different aspects of the same reality. So, Ghataka Shrutis are those which kind of explanatory verses which explain how Veda and Abheda can coexist. So, those are the Ghataka Shrutis.
So, I was hearing another class from Prabhuji, and he was saying that, I mean, not he was saying, if there is Kapil Dev, and then time and again, even Srimad Bhagavatam speak about Abheda, like where the Kapil Dev is saying, if anybody thinks that I am any different from, once it's been said about, one is, I remember Kapil Dev clearly saying, and also Lord saying that if anybody thinks I'm different than Brahma and Shiva, and then again living entities, then, there will be no peace upon such person, like that. That is like God is saying that I'm different, I'm non-different. So that is the Abheda part of it. But there are also basically Srimad Bhagavatam is like what we understand, because Mahaprabhu gave us this, like he sanctioned this scripture. So are there Ghatakas? Whatever my basic, like what you say, the plain understanding was, we are somewhere into the Ghataka where end of now also we said Achintya Bheda Abheda. It can coexist, like Bheda and Abheda can coexist. So we are on the Ghataka sort of a thing, philosophy. So where in Srimad Bhagavatam, or is there verses, are there verses where it is like reconciling the both side of the tattva?
Yeah, the Acharya's explanations reconcile it. So those very same verses that you quoted, that for example, I'll quote a similar verse. The verse says that what is that? Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivataihi Samatvenaiva Pashyeta Sa Pashandi Bhavedruvam. So that verse says that one who says that the non-difference between one who thinks that Narayana and Brahma and the Devatas like Brahma and Shiva are on the same level, he's a Pashandi, it says. Okay. So this is the exact opposite of what you presented, the Lord presented. So which means there are Ghataka Shrutis which explain that in what sense the Lord is non-different. Okay. And in what sense the Lord is different. There are explanations for that.
Okay.
So not everything is actually Achintya. These are like, these are explainable realities, and the Acharyas do explain it in a particular way. So, there are explanations, sometimes it refers to the purpose, the non-difference in terms of they are executing the same mission. Okay. For example, in the second canto, there is a verse which says, Yo adhyatmikoyam purusha sosav evadi daivikaha. Yes, tatra ubaya vichedaha purusho hi adi daivikaha. So literally translated that this is second canto, 10th chapter, I think 8th verse or something like that, which is describing the Ashraya Tattva. He says that the Adhyatmic Purusha is non-different from the Adibhautik Purusha. The Adibhautik Purusha is non-different from the Adidaivik Purusha. This is what is the literal translation of it. So, but the explanation is that because what is the Adhyatmic Purusha? The Adhyatmic Purusha is the subtle body. The Adibhautik Purusha is the gross body. The Adidaivik Purusha are the system of demigods which control the gross body and subtle body. The verse says the demigods are non-different from the gross body. The gross body is non-different from the subtle body. So now how do you say they are definitely different? So they are non-different in the sense, they are non-different in sense of the purpose of their existence. The purpose of the existence of the sense devatas, the gross body and the subtle body is to give the Krishna Bahirmukh Jiva an experience of some illusory joy within this material universe. So in terms of that purpose, they are non-different. But in another sense, they are definitely different because the gross body is made of gross elements, the subtle body is made of subtle elements, and the sense devatas are different. So, therefore, for us, when we see there are certain aspects which are presented as if they are non-different, certain aspects which are presented as if they are different, but everything where as apparent Bheda and Abheda exists need not be Achintya for the ordinary Jivas. There could be, like for example, the father may say that, let's say if a son is very, very naughty, the father may say, and if he is very disrespectful, okay. So he says that, what is the use of your going to school? You have not learned anything. You might as well not go to school. Like that the father says. Okay. And at other point he says, hey, tomorrow is, how can we go for this trip? Tomorrow your school is there, you should go. So on one hand, the father says, you're going to the school is a mere waste. And on the other hand, he says, you should go to school. There is a context. When he says that, you're going to school is a mere waste, what it means is, if having gone to school, you must have learned better. It does not literally mean that you should not go to school. Okay. And on the other hand, so this is, there is apparent Bheda and Abheda, but, two contradictory statements. But if you understand the context, in a conceivable way, they can coexist. But in terms of the absolute truth, there are certain things like, for example, we discussed that how is it possible for Krishna to show the full universe within the mouth, within his whole mouth to Mother Yashoda, which is not an illusion, it is a reality, but he has not expanded his mouth, but still the whole universe is seen in full form, in its full size within his mouth. So the fact is that, like, forget about that. The size of the Paramatma is one Pradesha, some 6 inches or something like that. So Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam, Bhagavatam says. So oftentimes devotees say, 6 inches according to, in a human form, it is 6 inches according to human size. In an amoeba, it is 6 inches according to amoeba size, like that devotees explain. But this is not true. 6 inches means 6 inches, whether it is in an amoeba body or human body or an elephant body, whichever body. Okay. But so you may say that 6 inches in an amoeba body, how will it exist? Yeah, if it is 6 inches of a material object, it cannot exist in an amoeba body. But spirit is not bound by these kind of material restrictions. It can stay. That is the point. So localization and all pervasion is not simultaneously possible for matter, but it is possible for spirit. how is inconceivable. That is why Achintya Bheda Abheda, like that.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Beautiful that was. And last thing that I was thinking, like our sampradaya, I don't know if it makes sense, but it just thought came. Our sampradaya is Madhva sampradaya. I'm following Madwacharya, right? So he was
No. We come in Madhvacharya's line, but philosophically we are different.
Yeah, because you said Ramanujacharya was the one who was reconciling the Bheda and Abheda, right? So in that
philosophically, our sampradaya, our explanation philosophically is more in alignment with Ramanujacharya's explanation than Madhvacharya's explanation.
Yeah. So, but then if we see I went and looked at the chart. I have a chart at home, and then I was searching. Ramanujacharya is not there, but Madhvacharya is there. So I was and when we introduce ourselves, we also say Madhva Gauriya, Brahma Madhva Gauriya Sampradaya. So I was thinking that Madhvacharya, then his philosophy is like, to me it was sounding like one is taking one of it, another is taking another of it. It's like they say Ardha Kukutniti, like you, whatever suits you, you present that. But that way Madhvacharya's is like, just to oppose Shankaracharya. Nothing, I mean, just to understand whatever. So I was just wondering how come we came from him and not from Ramanujacharya.
We are not philosophically exactly from Madhvacharya's line like that. Philosophically, there is difference. That's why he said, in essence only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted, but in details we are different.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shiv Kumar Prabhu.
So thank you so much for today's session, Prabhu. Prabhu, just two questions, Prabhu. One question and one confirmation, Prabhu. First question, you talked about the Shakti Paranavawa, right, Prabhu? The Jiva Shakti manifesting soul. Then how do we understand the Jiva is also eternal, right, Prabhu, by itself, the soul itself? So when we say...
So this is where another Achintya aspect comes, which is our understanding of Kala in this material world. Any transformation means we think that it has to start at some point and end at some point. Okay. So, but in the absolute truth, it can be one transforms into another, but it is eternally. Eternally, one is the source, eternally, one is the effect, but it's eternal.
Okay. So we cannot subject this to the confines of the notion of time that we have. That's what you are saying.
Confines of the notion of time that we have experienced.
So this is a limitation, right, Prabhu? Then something that's from our level is difficult. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So just one more confirmation, Prabhu. This question I had for a long time and you kind of clarified it. I just wanted to confirm it. One of the qualities that Mayavads argue present is the immutable nature of the Brahman. And we also know Krishna takes birth and he also grows just like any other Jiva here. And also Krishna, when he takes avatara into the other avatars, there are changes in his form and the qualities that he manifests are also different in different avatars. So that question I had. So would it be a right understanding to say that you touched upon that the transformation of Brahman is intrinsic to it and not without any external dependency, whereas the Jiva's transformation has external dependency, so we cannot equate our transformation to Brahman's transformation.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, there are some questions in the chat box. Can we take, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Radha Jyoti Mataji is asking how Brahman has form of Lord when you are teaching about Mayavad.
Okay, I'll read Mataji. How Brahman has form of the Lord when you are teaching about Mayavad. Wow. Yeah, Mayavadis don't accept Brahman has a form. They don't accept the Lord having a form because they cannot understand spiritual form, spiritual energy, spiritual, etc. They don't understand it and they don't accept it. Yeah. So, okay. There is a question by Govind Hari Prabhu. According to Mayavad, the Jiva and the Jagat are simply illusions. Everything is one. If the Jiva is an illusion, who is experiencing the illusion? There are certain questions which you are not supposed to ask the Mayavadis. This is one of the questions. Who is under illusion? Okay. So you can say, oh, is it the Jiva? Jiva can't be under illusion because Jiva itself is an thing. Then is it Brahman who is under illusion? So they will say, oh, you're not supposed to trap me like this, you know. So if Brahman can be under illusion, then the question is, so if there is Brahman and illusion, then there are two things, then there is not one, you know. So these are things which, you know, I don't think they may give some answers, but I think essentially they don't have an answer for this. If Brahman is not transforming Nirvikari, then it cannot be experiencing the illusion. And the Jiva is an illusion itself, who is a Chid element. Okay, yeah, that's what, that's a point, you know. So who is undergoing illusion is a big question. If they say the Brahman, then that shows Brahman in poor light. That is one question, that is one thing. And second thing is that um, is that if you have Brahman and you have illusion, there are two things already, you know, their staunch Advaita is breached, you know. You have two things. So that's a problem. Yes, Preeti Vilasini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So sorry. Prabhu, first of all, thank you so much for this very wonderful class. A lot of clarity, and we are so grateful that you could go through this content with us. Something we always want to hear, but we never read in. But thank you so much for the class. I am sorry I got diverted because of a meeting when you were talking about the example of Peda and Phenyl. So I understood the Peda example, how Shakti Paranavawa, all that happens. But what about the Phenyl? I didn't understand why that came into place.
No, when I gave the example of Peda and Phenyl, the point I was trying to make was how, you know, oftentimes we think that matter and spirit are exactly opposite. But this is not real. Matter and spirit have some things in common. So just like phenyl has something in common with milk, and Peda has something in common with milk. Phenyl it looks white in color and liquid. Its white color and liquidity very much visually, phenyl looks very much like milk. Okay. But if you take Peda visually looks not at all like milk, you know, depending on what kind of Peda, you know, whether it's Mathura Peda, it is brown in color, it is some other Peda, it is white in color, depending on what kind of Peda. Okay. So, but Peda tastes more or less like milk, little more on the sweeter side, and it smells very much like milk. So I was giving these two examples to just indicate not Shakti Paranavawa, but I was using these examples to indicate that how similarly material analogies can be used to some extent describe spiritual reality and help a conditioned soul develop some appreciation of spiritual reality. It is only possible because material matter has something in common with spirit. So different matters have different things in common with spiritual reality. So using those analogies, we can help the jiva reconstruct at least partially spiritual reality, through which he can develop some appreciation of spiritual reality, like that.
Oh, okay. Got it, Prabhu. I was really confused about that. I was thinking, where did phenyl get derived from milk? So that was where I got stuck. But understood very clearly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Sukha Mataji is also asking a question. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. If it's not a stretch, why are we not closer to Sri Sampradaya that talks of Bheda Bheda but to Madhva, that is based in Dvaita?
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, philosophically, we are closer to Sri Sampradaya only. But then why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have to come in the Madhva line? I don't know.
But Madhavendra Puri came in Madhva Sampradaya.
Yeah, why only choose Madhavendra Puri? He could have chosen someone else. I don't exactly know. Maybe there must be some answer to it, but I don't know.
Narahari Prabhu.
Narahari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my pranams to you. Thank you again for a fantastic class. Prabhu, I kind of lost where you started explaining the personal aspect of the Lord. Is it possible you could just maybe touch upon how, using the Vivartavad, you were able to say that the Lord has the personal aspect? Because the impersonal aspect, I think that was clear, but the personal aspect, I somehow was not able to comprehend. Could you please explain that once again, Prabhu?
Vivartavad is Mayavad.
Right.
So they don't accept the personal aspect. So I mean, through Vivartavad, according to Vivartavad, anything that has form is an illusion only. Vivarta. Form is illusion, Jiva is illusion, material world is illusion, everything is illusion. The only reality is the impersonal Brahman is reality. Everything else is an illusion. So for them, form does not exist. So you cannot. So Vivartavad is actually Mayavad. So you cannot explain form through Vivartavad actually.
Sorry, Prabhu. Maybe I think I misquoted. In the second question that you were explaining, you explained how the Lord is both personal and impersonal. I think I got.
That was based on the various verses that the Shastras describe. I didn't go through all those verses because of lack of time. There are Shastric verses which clearly describe about the Lord having a form. There is a description of the Lord's form. There is a description of his qualities. There is a description of his energies and everything. So they very clearly point out to the absolute truth having a form, qualities, energies, etc. So, like that.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you again so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Correct. Okay. Okay, another question. If things are so simple and clear, as you beautifully explained, why do Mayavadis find it so difficult? I am trying to understand their POV.
Point of view.
Point of view. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Point of view when they are not able to accept this. Okay, this is where one thing we have to understand very clearly. Okay. Not that the Mayavadis don't have a reasonable explanation for things. They do have also. Okay. Just that it may not be appealing to us. And our explanations will not be appealing to them. Right. Let's say this is because of our own personal experiences in life. Okay. So the Vaishnava explanations, in order to relate to it, one needs Sukriti. So that is why Krishna says, Namam dushkritino muda prapadyante naradama maya aparita jnana asurim bhavam ashrita. So the dushkritinas do not surrender to Krishna, but chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna. Those who are sukritinas, bhajante mam, they worship me. Okay. So to accept the philosophy of Vaishnavism, it's not just an explanation. One needs that Sukriti to breach that that layer of faithlessness and come into to make sense out of it. So it is not that oh, it is so easy, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense to me and you, but not to them. So what is common between you and me is that faith. Yadrichaya mat katadau jata shraddosya sevane. So there we have we have developed that faith. That faith comes through lifetimes and lifetimes of accumulation of Agyata Sukriti, where we have come in touch with Vaishnavas who have given us that favorable experiences in Krishna consciousness. So that favorable experiences consolidate over many lifetimes and become something very tangible in the form of faith. Then to such a faithful person, you give this explanation, they can immediately accept. But if one lacks that faith, or one lacks that sukriti, okay, swalpa punyavatam rajan vishwasoneva jayate mahaprasade govinde nama brahmani vaishnave. Okay. So often we chant it just when we are ready to take prasadam, right? But it's a very deep verse actually, right? So, this is prasad, this is not prasad, this is very potent, this is not very potent. People will say that, what do you mean? Why? How? It will be very difficult to relate to it. Nama Brahmani. People oftentimes ask, why you keep repeating the same name again and again and again? Swalpa punyavatam rajan vishwasoneva jayate. For those who have swalpa sukriti, vishwasoneva jayate, they cannot trust it. They cannot make sense of it. So it's not that if we give the same explanation to Mayavadis, everyone will change. The same explanations have always been there. The Vaishnavas have always presented. I have not presented anything new. So these explanations are there, but it needs that Sukriti to actually be able to make sense out of it. Like that. Yes.
Prabhuji, this new terms we got to understand today, this Parinamawa, Shakti Paranavawa, and another, what they come under which Sampradaya, Prabhuji? Shakti, they are telling only some part of Brahma Shakti is being transformed, not Brahma is transformed. And the Parinamavad, Brahman itself is transformed. So they come under which Sampradaya actually? Which
Shakti
Sampradaya?
Paranavawa is our Vaishnava understanding. Shakti Paranavawa. And Brahma Parinamavad is the Mayavadi understanding.
Brahman itself changes.
Yeah, they say Brahman itself changes because, but because Brahman does not change, therefore what you see as the material world and the Jivas is actually must be an illusion. There is no other possible explanation for it, because if the Jiva is real and the material world is real, then it must be due to the transformation of Brahman, because other than Brahman, nothing exists. So, but the Shastras very clearly say that Brahman is immutable without transformation. So if the Brahman really has no transformation, then what you observe as the Jiva and the material world has to be illusion. There is no other explanation for that. So therefore, they say, that's what they call it as Brahma Parinamavad, the theory of illusory transformation of Brahman. So that Brahman does not undergo any transformation, but it's an illusory transformation, like that, they explain.
Then again, you spoke about Vivartavad, and that is also in relation to Mayavad. Why?
Yeah, similar. Vivartavad is similar to Brahma Parinamavad. It's all connected only. It's all connected. Vivarta again means illusion. Yeah.
Vivarta is again illusion. One more small thing, Prabhuji, with the point of that analogy, we understood that there is nothing totally material matter and totally spiritual. So that is where we able to use...
No. I didn't say that. I said matter and spirit are not exactly opposite. Like, for example, if I ask you, what is the color, or what is the opposite of black color?
White. We used to tell white.
You will say white, right? But are they completely opposite?
No, that is our understanding.
No, because black is also a color, white is also a color. So there is something common, right? Color.
Correct.
So you say, So if you say if you ask me what is the opposite of white color, I will say colorless.
Colorless.
Okay, because white may be opposite to black, that is opposite, but both are colors. There is similarity, right? So now Mayavadis say, what is the opposite of black color? They'll say colorless. What is the opposite of white color? Colorless. What is the opposite of red color? Colorless. Okay, because there must be nothing in common between spirit and matter. That's what they say. Therefore, when it comes to description of the spiritual reality, they call it anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means it cannot be described in words, because any word will only create an understanding of matter which you have observed. But because spirit and matter have nothing in common, therefore spiritual reality cannot be described. But this is not our Vaishnava understanding. Vaishnava understanding is, yes, matter and spirit are significantly different, but there are common grounds. And through those common grounds, there can be a reasonable reconstruction of spiritual reality through material analogies, by which conditioned souls can develop some reasonable appreciation of the spiritual reality. Like that.
It is only for tattva, or even for, like, for example, we are using our material mind, physical body for chanting, for doing devotional service. In that way also we can see in some way matter is helping connect with the spirit.
Yeah, true. That is true.
Next we have Gail Mataji. Gauranga
Mother Gail.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
you were just speaking about Sukriti, and I was wondering if you would kind of elaborate on this Sukriti in regards to chanting the holy name. So there are people who have less faith in chanting. There are those who have so much faith in chanting. So regardless of what a person's position is, would you say that the best way to increase one's faith in chanting is simply to chant, or would you say that it's just not just chanting, is a combination of all the limbs? Or how would you say is the best way to increase one's faith in chanting in the most rapid way possible?
Associate with those who have that faith.
Okay, so therefore, if a person doesn't associate so much with people who have that faith, but they are very rigorously trying to chant in an attentive way, are they more disadvantaged? Because there are people who have that association, and their chanting may not be as rigorous as a person who doesn't have that association but is really trying very rigorously.
Okay, when I say association, I mean not passive association, but active association. So I'm not talking about association as in coexisting, just being in physical proximity. But association means to serve, association means to hear from. And on the other hand, the person who is trying to very sincerely chant, where did he get that inspiration to sincerely chant? That must also have come through some kind of association. So which he is, but it must have been a powerful form of association, because of which, even though he is willing to invest in that direction. So
yeah, I guess I'm also thinking of those who, they've never had physical association with a devotee, but just by reading, something here or there, they like very quickly got that inspiration to chant very seriously. So I guess you would say that maybe that inspiration is coming from past life. Something.
Possible. Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I think it's time. Can we end here?
Yes, Prabhuji, there are no more questions or hand raise. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your very kind, valuable association and extension of time and vivid explanation of all these tattvas. Thank you so much. Your obeisances to Prabhuji and all Vaishnavas.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavya Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Forward for your association.